Hey, Jay, thanks for having me.
Sure.
I have a quick question, and the question is, why do we call him God?
I would say in our position, ultimately, because of the characteristics of what he's revealed about himself. So, God for us would mean the person of the Father and the attributes that go along with him, being omniscient, being omnibenevolent, being, omnipresent, omnipotent, etc.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is his name in the Old Testament is spelled Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is really more of an etymology question. In the English Bibles and throughout the world, why do we use the name God instead of however you pronounce his name? That's where I'm going with this.
Well, I think the Greek term theos is usually what is used, and it's just the word in the Greek that stands for Yahweh or the Lord or whatever.
Okay, so you're getting close. Theos is the Greek word, but it's also used of the creator of angels, of demons, and sometimes of men.
Right.
The Hebrew equivalent is Elohim, and
Mm-hmm.
Elohim is also used directly of the creator of angels, of demons, and it's also used of men. That's
Correct.
where.
So can I respond to
Go
that?
ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm aware of that, and that's because the term God is a generic term. It's not a proper noun unless it picks out a specific person. And this is an argument that we've made many, many times to Muslims, for example. So I'm familiar with what you're saying, but capital T Theos for us is picking out the person of the Father. But you're absolutely correct that Elohim or gods, in the sense of when Jesus says, "I've said ye are gods," that could refer to an angel, a demon, or a human. We agree.
All right, sweet. So, with that being said, what we're translating as God is either Theos or Elohim, but Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is a different word. So, whenever we in the Tanakh or in the Old Testament, when we translate Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim, we translate that as Lord God. So, we're not even using the term God for the Creator's name; we're using a title, Lord.
Well, I mean, in our view, God is, again, a term that picks out either a divine person, the divine nature, or the divine energies or operations in the old. And we're speaking here of God, the triad, the Trinity. So I believe in the Trinity as an Orthodox Christian. And in our view, Jesus is called the face of Yahweh, the angel of Yahweh. Then he's given the name of Yahweh throughout the Old Testament. So it sounds like what we call a word concept fallacy, where the idea is that a word has a single referent. But in the case of Theos or Lord, it could refer to a created Lord, or it could refer to the uncreated Lord or God.
Okay, so I'm with you on all that. So, and by the way, Jesus died, rose again 3 days later, son of the right hand, and his father's name is, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. So I'm with you on all that.
You don't think that
Now,
Jesus is Yahweh?
well, he's divine, but he is not the Father. No, I think they're different aspects.
Let,
There are things the Father know that Jesus doesn't know.
well, are there degrees of divinity?
Yes.
Well, in the sense of the divine nature, there can't be degrees of it, right? So the divine nature, for example, is simple, it's uncomposite, it's outside of time, it's impassible, it's not acted upon. These are all classic ideas of what divine nature or the uncreated nature of God signifies. So there couldn't be, if Jesus is fully divine, there couldn't be degrees of that.
Or you can't have a quarter or a half of the divine essence or something like that.
Right, but angels and demons are divine beings, yes?
Divine in a different sense.
So there are different. You just contradict yourself, right?
No, it's not the sense in the first sense.
Okay, so
So
there's two
you're,
differences in the
no,
divine.
not in the sense of God's divinity.
Okay.
So when we call an angel Elohim, or when they're called gods, it's picking out a created thing. We're talking about uncreated nature. So you understand it's a word concept fallacy.
It might be, except every demon in the Bible that's listed, and I've got every one of them up here. I can go through the whole list for you, both in Greek and in Hebrew. They are all translated exactly as they are transliterated, meaning they are all translated in our English Bibles exactly as they sound in their original languages. Would you agree with that?
Translate it as they sound. What do you mean?
So I'm going to give you a few for instances as an example. So Baal sounds like Baal in the Hebrew. Baal Perith sounds like Baal Perith. Hold on.
Yeah, and we believe those are fallen angels.
Yes, Merodach is Merodach, Nebo is Nebo, Adrimelech, Adrimelech, so on and so forth.
Right.
Now, there are two demons in Isaiah 65:11 that are not translated. Their names are completely untranslated. Have you ever looked up that verse?
Yeah, I've read Isaiah many, many times.
All right. In Isaiah 65:11, there's two demons in there. They're translated in the King James or the Geneva Bibles as troop and number, but in every translation post 1970, they're translated as fortune and destiny with capital F and a capital D. And the way that I found this was I was researching the origins of hard determinism in Christianity. And so I chased that from Lorraine Bodner in 1936 with his tulip thesis, back to John Calvin, who got all of his ideas from, and Martin Luther. They got their ideas from Augustine of Hippo. Augustine of Hippo got all of his ideas.
I used to be a Calvinist. I've studied at Calvinist seminary. I'm aware.
Awesome. Good. So in Isaiah 65:11, you have two demons that are translated as fortune and destiny. Do you happen to know what their names are?
Well, how is this going to prove your point? Because, I mean, I agree that they're demons. If these are demons in the text, when I look at Isaiah 65:11, I mean, you're saying that it's the quote modern translations, but okay, I mean, demons are created. So how does this prove your point?
Because their names are God and Mani. They're spelled GD, Gimel Dalet, and MNY, Mem Nun Yod.
Okay.
It looks like, and their names are technically pronounced God and Money.
You mean you think that the English terminology of the meaning in English of a Hebrew word is the same?
No, what I'm telling you is in Hebrew, that is how you pronounce that word, GD. It's
Okay.
God.
This is a word concept fallacy. So you think that the modern English term God is referencing that's predicting that we worship, quote, God, but it's a demon? Is that what you think?
So that comes back to my first question is, what is the etymology of the English word God?
It just means theos. It just refers to, it picks out theos when we're talking about God the Father, but it also refers to other things.
Yes, that's how we define it. But I'm talking about etymology. Where'd it come from?
That's etymology.
No, etymology is it came from this word and this language and this vernacular, and that's how we all say it.
Okay. Isn't that what you're asking?
Right. Well, so
Can you just state what your position is? You're asking me all these questions, and just what's the position that you're arguing for?
Sure. So the hard determinism in Christianity, which is Calvinism, comes from those two demons, God and Mani, the demons of fortune and the demons of destiny. One's a male and one's a female. And they just change their names every now and then, i.e. God and Mary. And what happened was the demon God
and Mary? Mary?
Yeah. Yeah, you just change Many a little bit and you get Mary. So what happened was
this is Looney Tunes, man. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but
all right.
Changing one letter?
Yeah, it makes all the difference, right?
Correct. So how do you jump from that to Mary?
Because the demons God and Mani it's the same cherub in different civilizations. It's Amun-Ra in Egypt and Horus. It's God and Mani in Babylon. It's Jupiter and Pluto in.
And you think that's the Virgin Mary?
Well, I'm saying that's the cherub that's presenting himself as Mary for the Catholics.
How would you ever come up with?
Yeah, how would
you?
How would you come to that?
Because I wrote a 93,000 word book on it and I researched it.
That doesn't explain how you came to the conclusion. That just tells me what you did.
Well, rephrase your question.
It's a non sequitur. So first of all, changing one letter in many words gives very different conclusions and reference as to who the word is picking out. So the fact that you're saying that, well, I just changed one letter and it's really close to Mary, I mean, this is like, you don't see why that would be a problem?
Well, if you look up Mem Nun Yod in Hebrew, Nun is a letter that's used to change a name and to disguise a name.
Okay. So Are you familiar with like the way, let me give you an example of where this would be a problem. Like the way that Freemasons talk about Solomon. Have you heard this argument where they say, well, look at the name Solomon. It's Sol, it's Om, and it's On. Sol is the Latin for the sun and the sun god. Om is the, the Buddhist Om, right, chant that they do. On is the Egyptian deity On. Now, the word Solomon is a English transliteration of Shalom. Has nothing to do with Sol, Om, and On. Okay, so there's a tendency in a lot of esoteric-minded people or Masonic-minded people, various Hermeticists or whoever. I'm not accusing you of that. I don't fully know your position, but I'm just stating that it's all kind of based on, if you're familiar with Jordan Maxwell, for example, the famous conspiracy dude, right? He would always kind of come up with these creative switching of reference to show that because in one context the word means this, in another context the word means something very very different. The word then is meaning both things or can be identified with one referent. So do you know when I'm saying that it's a version of word concept fallacy, do you know what I mean by that?
I agree with you 100%. With you spot on.
But how would you agree with me if that's what I'm saying is the move here that you're making that's a mistake?
Because you can find God in the text, in the Hebrew text, and it was covered up. If you'll indulge me just for one more quick point before you can me.
I'm listening.
All right. So let's assume that God and Mani are the demons of the Babylonian demons of luck or fortune and destiny or fate. And I stumbled upon them. You asked how I found this. Let me answer that first because you did ask that question. The way that I found this was when I was researching the elect, I wanted every time the word the elect, choose, or chosen was used in the Bible, and I was going to put it in an Excel spreadsheet so that I could show you that it was just a mundane word where somebody was choosing something. There's 224 instances of that, and the way that I found Isaiah 65:11 is because the Creator chose Israel for destruction because of something they did. That's how I found Isaiah 65:11, was just by doing my homework. So let's assume that God and money are the demons of luck and fate. In Luke, whenever Jesus is telling them that you cannot serve both God and money, assume my proposition is true. The reason that he's telling them that you can't serve them both is because you either live your life as if everything is chance or luck, or you live your life as if everything is fate or destiny. That's why you can't serve those two masters.
I mean, again, this has nothing to do with the Virgin Mary. Where do you, I just don't understand. How do you conclude that that's Mary?
Mary's a tertiary item anyway.
Yeah, but it demonstrates the wildness of this. You don't see why this would be a problem?
Oh, it is absolutely wild. I agree.
Okay. So, I mean, so what is the true religion? Like, what is it to you?
The way.
And that is what?
Well, so here's my opinion that you're not going to hear anywhere else. I think the way, which was home groups meeting in their homes, your pastor, your evangelist, your apostle, those were all functions that people did. They were not titles that were given to them by professionally credentialed organizations. The Gnostics eventually infiltrated the way and eventually turned it via Augustine of Hippo and Jerome and others, and eventually turned it into what we would call the Roman Catholic Church. And then they used half of the Gnostics' beliefs to do that. In the 1500s, the Protestants used the other half of the Gnostic beliefs to consolidate power away from the Pope. And what you call church right now is the great harlot of Babylon, because all churches worship God, and his proper name is the Babylonian demon of fortune.
Yeah, again, your entire thesis is built on a word concept fallacy. Are you from a Protestant background?
Both Catholic and Protestant.
Mm-hmm. Right, so the word God can pick out different things, right? And your argument rests on the word God having the single referent of this demon. And
Correct.
The way that you got to that was the creative interpretation of Isaiah 65.
Is it creative, or is that
you
the
just said you had to change a letter to get married?
No.
That is what you said. to get
Let's
married.
start with the proposition that it's
Did you
God and
did you
Manny.
not say that to change a letter you get married because it's close?
Yes.
Okay, so again, why do you think that that is valid or a coherent move to do?
From what standpoint?
It's not talking about Mary, and you admitted it by saying that I have to change a letter to make it be close to Mary.
Yes, and that's the middle letter of Manny's name. None is
Manny?
a letter that is used. Yes, M-N-Y, Manny.
There's nothing to do with Mary. Where do you
Correct.
conclude that that's Mary?
Because the demons can change their names. That's what he does. He's
Yeah,
a cherub.
that doesn't prove that the referent is Mary. You're just assuming the position and saying, yeah, but it is because it's a demon changing his name. How do you know that it's a demon that you don't think? I mean, do you know what Ephesus taught, for example,
On what?
on Mary?
Tell me.
Well, are you familiar with church history at all? You talked about Augustine. You were correct about his background.
Oh, a little bit, yes.
Okay, so but well, wait a minute. Wouldn't you want to know about what the first 4 centuries of Christianity taught if you're going to put this position forward?
Sure, go for it.
No, I'm asking you, what do you think they taught in those first 4 centuries up to Ephesus
About whom?
about Christ and Mary?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, so you don't know about this topic. I thought you wrote a giant 90,000 word book or something.
93,000, yes.
Okay, but you don't know about the topic.
Well, the book doesn't cover the encompassing of everything in Christianity.
Yeah, but Mary is very important at Ephesus, and she's given a certain name at Ephesus, and so this would be very important to your thesis if you think that she's a goddess or a demon.
I didn't say that Mary was a god or a demon. Maria, her name was Maria.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to move on. I appreciate your arguments. Interesting thesis, but it's a word concept fallacy.